how would you like to have Cedric Gibbons nude on your mantelpiece?
It's not Stanley Gibbons, the philatelist.
No! He's a Hollywood figure, remarkable Hollywood figure, Cedric Gibbons. He was the premier art director stroke production designer of Hollywood for MGM. And in 1928, he was asked to design something. What might that have been? No.
The Oscar.
Thank you. The Oscar. And not only did he design it, he won 11 of them. He was nominated for 36 and won 11. Almost all Oscars, as you know, were won by Walt Disney, who won how many?
109.
26.
20, yeah.
And Cedric Gibbons won 11, and all the rest went to Emma Thompson. Oh, look, she is.
Lovely winning smile.
Do you remember which one that was? Sense and Sensibility or Howard's Way?
Howard's End. Howard's Way.
I nearly said Howard's Way.
That interesting boat script I wrote.
But you were nominated for 3 others.
Yes.
Do you remember what they were?
Remains of the Day, In the Name of the Father.
Best Supporting Actress. And you were also nominated for Sense and Sensibility as Best Supporting Actress.
I forgot.
I can remember all the GCSEs I did. I would definitely remember every Oscar nomination. I think when, like, the rest of my brain had melted, I fed through a tube, those 5 names of films would still come out.
I made an Oscar. I actually made a genuine Oscar. I went to the factory in Chicago where they were made.
Is it a mould, like a jelly mould?
Well, there is a mould, but it's pure metal Britannium.
Or do you have to hew it?
Yeah.
Well, you buff it.
If you have to,
a damn good buffing.
If you have to hew it, I mean, I'm not being rude, but if I was winning an Oscar this year, I'd say, can I have one of the ones made by the professional? That one with Stephen Fry pulls that.
I was well supervised. What makes up more than 70% of the internet? Ooh.
It's my personal collection, isn't it?
Of what?
Of gentlemen's special interest literature.
I think we know what you're talking about.
Well, if you're going to be like that...
No, it's just quite surprising. They did a survey on behalf of the American Civil Liberties Union, who were very annoyed about some legislation that Bush was trying to push through, which they thought somewhat prohibitive of personal liberty, and they discovered that less than 1% of the internet is pornography. Less than 1%. Of all email traffic, 85, in fact, up to 89%, is spam. It's as simple as that.
Trying to sell you Xanax and penis enlargement.
Exactly. Soft Cialis, whatever that is.
The annoying thing about those, I get loads of them, most of them from my girlfriend, but it's the ones from my mum that really hurt.
Oh. Yay! Oh. Yes, a recent study has established that the World Wide Web is less than 1% pornography. On the other hand, 89% of all emails are spam, which is good news if you're looking for cheap pills or you want to increase your extremities. In 1955, what nuclear-powered device did Alex Lewitt predict would be a reality within 10 years?
TV remote.
No, but as daft, really.
Hover boots.
Hover
Yeah,
like
that is the invention that everybody always says. Will there be... My son has said to me, Dad, will there be hover boots when I'm grown up? Like, that is the height of scientific and technological advancement. And Ben now is going to talk for a little while about...
the possibility
just how possible it is.
Hover gloves, I'd
it's
like.
Not hover gloves. Surely you can do your own hovering. You're doing it, in fact. Yeah. It's not a hover thing, but it is a domestic appliance that he
electric
thought
toothbrush.
Would be nuclear-powered, not an electric toothbrush.
Fridge. Hoover.
Yes, electric vacuum cleaner.
Vacuum cleaner,
Nuclear vacuum
He
cleaner.
honestly thought in 1955 that within 10 years there'd be a nuclear-powered
They had
one.
vacuum cleaners in America in the 19th century, and they were huge, and they had to go on the back of a cart drawn by horses.
I remember seeing that on a programme called QI. Yeah. Well done. But well remembered. It really does, yeah. Well, the nuclear-powered domestic vacuum cleaner. What was the most disastrous haircut ever? Yes. Some examples for you there.
I've got 2 answers and I get the screen going up there. One is my last haircut. No, or Samson's haircut. Samson's haircut done...
No, Samson's haircut's a very good answer, actually.
That's me.
Yes. You've just noticed.
Well, you must remember posing for these, or has this been...
I remember the one in the middle. But the other two, I have no memory.
I know for a fact that in 1928, the New England Tool and Die Manufacturing Company was looking for a new screw that wouldn't slip out of the notch. Yeah. And a man named Phillips worked for him, who had one of the most disastrous haircuts ever. It was parted in 4
That would be an example of a disastrous haircut that went good. This one, well, I mean, of course, there are many candidates, and Samson is one, but do you know anything about Louis VII of France? There he is on the left. We're talking about the 13th century. His queen became queen of a more famous king to us, being British.
Aquitaine.
She was Eleanor of Aquitaine,
Yeah,
absolutely
long
right.
hair, yes.
The point is, Louis VII was very religious, and the monks got to him, and he cut that hair off. He looks rather good there, but apparently he cut all his hair off, and she was furious at it.
Oh, right.
So cross that eventually she divorced him. I mean, there are other things too, probably, but the hair is mentioned by historians as
He
one
also
of the
cut
things...
his cock off.
Maybe, I don't know, his mother may have sold her...
Has your mother sold a mangle?
Maybe that had happened, yeah.
I divorce you.
But the consequences of the divorce were enormous, because she then went over, she was incredibly rich, she took her kingdoms with her, married Henry II, and it began the 100 Years' War.
Yes.
So essentially it was the haircut that began a 100 Years' War.
Yeah, but that's just something you say in polite company. Like when you telling people you're breaking up with your partner, you go, yeah, well, I ain't like what he did with his hair, so I left. You can't really say about the king, he keep farting in bed. I just don't like his haircut.
Yeah, you're right. What is interesting about this poor king is he definitely wouldn't have had sexual relations with Eleanor's mother because he was very abstinent indeed, and he became ill, and the courtiers suggested it was because he hadn't had sex. Yeah. And so he consented to have the queen sent for, and they said, no, she's too far away. If you don't have sex immediately, you will die. But genuinely being told that he had to have sex or he would die, he actually said he would rather die chaste than live an adulterer.
See, that leads you to believe that he had a bad sexual experience as a child.
Yes.
And just, you know, because, you know, most men wouldn't rather, like, face death than have sex. So something happened when he was a kid, maybe a teenager, maybe his wee-wee got caught in the zipper, or he mangled, or...
Yes, the mangle.
Or he said, I'm not ready for this yet, maybe just let me lick your elbow. And the woman just said, do what you do best. And...
Very good. The Simpsons make a reference to the 100 Years' War.
Oh, do they?
Do you know what they call it? Operation Speedy Resolution. Anyway, so, we've all had bad hair days, but the one which helped start the 100 Years' War takes some... Who said, let them eat cake?
Oh. Yes. It's that French woman.
Yes? What's
Dawn French.
Oh, very good.
She said, let them eat brioche.
Who did?
I'm not saying it.
I'm asking you. I need to know.
Oh, was it Mr. Kipling?
Jimmy. Oh, no.
Marie Osmond.
Marie Osmond.
Kirsten Dunst.
No.
Kirsten Dunst in that shocking film. It's the worst film ever made since Revolution with Al Pacino.
Did it involve cakes? Oh, a Marie Antoinette film.
Yes.
Oh, was it? Is it
So would you say, what?
Yes.
Who said it?
What you said.
Marie Antoinette.
Wait, why are you keeping on saying Marie Antoinette?
Because I wanted that to happen. No, Marie Antoinette didn't say it, or if she did say it, she was quoting it. She was born in 1755, as every schoolboy knows, and the phrase was seen in print in 1760, and Jean-Jacques Rousseau claims to have seen it in 1740. So it's an old thing. It's this idea that it was Marie Antoinette is not true.
I think it's unfair. You want to hear the whole conversation.
Yeah.
They haven't got any bread. Let them eat cake. They haven't got any cake either. Oh, I understand this is a problem.
Yes.
I'll in some way talk to the ministers about it. We'll see what we can do.
That might well have been the accusation that one grand lady or another committed this particular gaffe was in circulation at least 15 years before Marie Antoinette was born. What kind of birds used to go out with Viking sailors?
Turkeys, chickens,
No.
geese, swans. Birds that we didn't have here till they
To
arrived.
help them find their way
Yes.
through the fog.
Not through the fog, no. It was to discover new lands, which the Vikings like to do. What would be the purpose of it? How useful would a bird be? It's really cunning.
It was one that would go up high and see further than you could see.
Yes,
A talking bird.
Either that, or imagine a bird that couldn't land on the water, couldn't swim.
So when it saw land, it would head towards land and you'd follow it.
But if there was no land...
It would drown.
No, it would get back in the ship. Because it would go, oh, nowhere for me to go but the ship. So you take a bird, it's got to be a non-migratory bird, one that doesn't usually fly over the water, that can't land in the water. And you let it fly, it goes up to about 5,000 feet, and you can still see it. And if there's land, it will shoot off to the land, so you follow in exactly that direction. If there's no land, and you're still... you know, right in the middle of the ocean, it would just come back down again, and then you carry on sailing.
Clever, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it a budgie?
It's not a budgie. What a pity. It's actually a... Noah used
Is it a gander?
Oh, it's
Not
a dove.
No, before the dove, if you remember in the Bible, he used a...
Hunters, helpers.
Very good!
I was going to say that.
The audience.
I was going to say that right at the start.
Oh, there it is. There's the
raven.
Yeah, a raven. Someone
Can't
in the audience.
land on the water.
So the religious maniac in the audience got it right. No, I'm only joking. He was indeed, of course. Noah used that first.
Of course, yeah.
Isn't that a cunning thing to do? And there was a particular Viking, whose name was Floxy.
Is he the one with the pink shit?
Well, there was no... Hang on, I got his name a bit wrong.
Very long ears.
There was a group of them. They were called Faxi, Thorolf, Herjolf and Flocky. And Flocky is, to this day, apparently, Vilgedarsen. He's known to this day as Raven Flocky because he discovered, at least for the Vikings, he discovered Iceland that way by sending a raven. Now, in which direction
Yeah,
do
but what if the raven was going... Sorry. What if the ravens are sat in a studio now making their own show going... And it was the first raven that ingeniously used humans...
I like the way your mind
to
works.
transport us, you know what I mean?
It's the
Johnny, they wouldn't say that. They wouldn't say that. They go, think these things through.
Nevermore, I believe they
There's
could
nothing
say.
worse than a half-baked idea.
No, don't put it, the poor thing. Can you tell me what they're saying here?
But they did actually... It's not going to turn out to be some myth that they never did smoke signals.
No, indeed, you might have
I
expected it, but in fact it's quite genuine. It's considered probably the first language of North America was smoke signals and
what
hand
makes that
signals
different? I don't see the subtleties of it from just a bit of smoke.
All you need to have is a bit of smoke and then not smoke. Do you see what I mean? If you left it alone, you'd get a column of smoke. But what they do is do puffs of smoke by having animal skins, not blankets, oddly enough. I know one used to think it was blankets, I think. Yeah. But animal skins that you take away. And they can create immensely complicated, even V-shapes and things like that, using the blankets.
Is this the same thing they do at the Vatican with the Pope? Or is it just...
Not
is that a more simple language?
Very simple, that, isn't it?
It's just white smoke.
It's either white or black.
Right. Yes.
They used to add wet straw to make it black if they couldn't find a...
Black is what, for an African Pope?
It's for not being able to... They have to tell the populace assembled in St Peter's Square whether or not they've come to a decision.
Since they banned smoking in the Vatican, quite a lot of people hang out the window for a fag and it causes all sorts of trouble.
Can you imagine Catholic priests hanging out for a fag? It seems so unlikely. If we run the film on, in fact, it's 2 puffs that they give here.
That's how.
How.
And 2 puffs means all's well, apparently.
Yes.
It means everything's OK.
Looks more like a question mark there, doesn't it?
Oh, it does, actually. Right.
Do they do grammar, or...?
They should have got one of those light aircraft that can write in the sky. Just simple purchase.
What? Free drink?
A word like that. You see that there ahead of you.
They got good, didn't they?
They did.
See, with the one before, I don't know if we can go back to it, but the one before, yes, we can. With that one there, which you say means all's well. But of course, I mean, that could so easily be the aftermath of this Indian's home going up in flames. they'd look over the hill and they go, do you think that's our place? No, it says all's well. They just carry on their way.
You're right, it is confusing.
But we used to do this with these signal bonfires, didn't we? They went across the country.
Absolutely
But again, the same beacons, the same problem there. It might be, oh, look, there's an invasion, or it could just be the Great Fire of London's happening and bring water.
Oh, yeah, if you accidentally set that to your beacon, that would be a disaster.
Yeah.
Was that before or after email?
It's close.
Yeah.
They were spamming, though. You'd get endless streams. Do you want a bigger cock?
What about... Is that how you get a bigger cock? Slapping it around like that? I think with me it would have the opposite effect, to be honest. I think it into my shell.
I think you find it works for a while.
Why did Shorty Longbottom have a pink Spitfire? Who? Ooh,
It was puffed.
It was, say again?
Puffed.
Puffed.
It was puffed out, yes.
Oh,
it was exhausted from its exertions.
Oh, I see. Thank God for that. I was worried for a moment that we'd strayed into territory that just wasn't quite right somehow. Actually, it was a pretty new one. It was a very light one. It was a very special one.
Did he take Hindus out on the weekend? You know, when the war slowed down?
Yeah, it got dull.
Some lass with an L plate on. Did he get her in the back and take her around town?
What were the female members of the RAF? What were they called?
Wrens.
Wafts.
Wafts.
They were
And how would you know
yes, because I was one.
Oh, we
I
seem
was
to be in your
one,
territory
yes.
again.
Yeah, well, I joined the Women's Royal Air Force and I went to Singapore and Germany and I had a very nice time.
Excellent. That's very good to know.
You should do recruiting.
You should.
Actually, I've always been looking for the recruiting sergeant with the bread knife, as a matter of fact, because he said to me, what do you like doing? And I said, drawing. And he put me in a drawing office, you know, which was all maths and technical drawing and that, and I couldn't do it.
What a bad man.
Evil.
They did that to me at school. They said, what do you want to do? I said, maths. They put me in a maths class.
No.
Can you believe that?
Oh, that's not good enough.
Well, I was obviously built for dancing. Just outrageous.
Was your drawing anything to do with aerial photographs?
That sort of thing,
this
yes, that sort
answer,
of thing.
this
And I
answer.
can give you a little bit of inside info here.
Go on.
If you are studying aerial photography and you see a photograph which contains a cricket pitch and you happen to know the focal length of the camera, you can calculate the scale.
I thought you were going to say calculate the score then.
Because you know a cricket pitch is 22 yards, therefore...
Yeah.
But obviously, presumably, when the Spitfire's flying over Germany, the Germans are the kind of utter swine who won't play cricket.
So it was tricky if you didn't have a cricket pitch on the photograph.
Right. But suppose in the early days of the war you wanted to send an aeroplane over to take photographs.
Is some sort of disguise? Camouflage?
Camouflage is the right answer.
Pink skies or pink...
Yeah, actually, first they made it blue, and that stood out, and there it is. Shorty Longbottom's pink Spitfire.
But if it did get spotted when it was taking pictures, wouldn't the other planes just naturally flirt with it?
You'd think this would be the big
pilots
disadvantage.
would abandon the dogfighting skills and just go, hello. Came back from the Dam Busters thing, pregnant.
Well, it certainly shows you've got to love your country to be prepared to go up in one of those. But when it's a cloudy day, the sky has a sort of pink tinge to it when it's cloudy.
Tone, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Or alternatively, if you wanted to camouflage your aircraft, you could paint it as a ship.
Yes.
It was at that point that Ayres was asked to leave the route.
Yes. Exactly.
The whole of Germany turned into that bloke from the Love and Hardy films. Throwing booze away.
Exactly. And is
Stephen, I must point out, I can't hear anything you say. So I'm just...
You're welcome to stay like that or take it off.
If the show's going well, let me keep talking.
Yeah, okay. Well, there we are. Reconnaissance Spitfires were painted pink to match the clouds. What did Count Victor Lustig do to the Eiffel Tower?
He sold it to someone.
Oh, Alan, you're on fire tonight.
I'm on fire. I'm a salamander.
You are on fire. You are a salamander. He did indeed sell it. Congratulations. Many points.
I'm on fire.
It's quite a good salamander.
They do that foot thing.
They probably do.
Cooling foot. Cooling foot.
A salamander is amongst us.
So he sold the Eiffel Tower?
To a gullible tourist or something?
Well, actually, in this case, it was scrap metal dealers. He claimed that he had the single right given to him by the Ministry of Posts and Telegraphy to the sale, and that he could personally decide who would get the scrap metal rights. And he told this to 2 scrap metal dealers. And they both realised that, as he was a French official, he could be bribed. And so they paid him a large bribe for the rights to it. He told them that it was going to be pulled down and that he had the rights to dispose of it.
It was never a permanent thing, was it? They put it up for
wasn't,
like,
exactly.
a couple of years.
So it was quite a convincing
It's like that big wheel on the South Bank. That was meant to be up for 2 years, and they went, do you know what, I like it, let's keep it. They were fairground people, the new Labour, when they came in. They went, what we need is a Millennium Dome and a big Ferris wheel. Come on, if you want to go faster, you've got to scream louder.
And there's loads of pregnant teenagers knocking on number 10. Go, where are you? You've moved on.
There was a great former actor from Glasgow called Arthur Ferguson. He sold Nelson's column, Lions included, to an American tourist for £6,000. And on a trip to Paris, he managed to sell the Eiffel Tower as well, also for scrap, to another gullible American.
I love these people.
He then moved to the US.
Do you think they try lots and lots of people and eventually someone buys?
He sold the White House to an American.
Brilliant.
He sold
Sell me!
He then tried to sell the Statue of Liberty to an Australian, and that's where it fell down. But he went...
Oh, look, come on, mate.
He didn't even have the keys.
How am I going to get it home? Where's the guarantee?
Well, in case we think this is something that's gone away, only this year, 2008, ladies and gentlemen, as we go, 2 businessmen called Terry Collins and Marcel Buchhorn were conned out of £1 million by an unemployed, bankrupt lorry driver named Tony Lee, who claimed to be acting for the real owners in the sale of the Ritz Hotel. And they paid £1 million for a sort of down payment on the Ritz. What rhymes with month? This word, I have to say, is probably not known to you. It's Sikhism. It's what the Quran...
Sikhism does not rhyme with month.
No, I'm telling you, I'm taking you into the world of Sikhism. What the Quran is to the Islamic faith, this thing is to the Sikh faith. It's their text, and it's called the Granth.
Oh!
There, you see?
Well, we should know except Gunt.
Yeah.
Well, we should know that. I mean, that's not that obscure, is
No,
it?
it isn't. That's what I mean. It's a perfectly reasonable word.
Yeah. So loads of Sikhs watching this programme assuming they don't be screaming. For goodness sake, it's Gunth!
No, it's Granth.
Garanth.
Not Garanth, just Grunth. There are a lot that supposedly don't have rhymes, and month was one such, and we thought we'd tell you there is Grunth. There you are. So the holy text of Sikhism is the Guru Granth Sahib. What is this a representation of?
It's Roy Chubby Brown eating a hobnob.
It's Gladstone eating an ice cream and then being beamed up by the Martians.
It's giving birth.
Oh, yes. Brilliant. Brilliant. That's exactly what it is. It's a lamb being born.
God.
In fact, this is a sound effect. We can actually see the sound being made.
Has he listened to lambs being born? And then down now, as he said, no one knows what a lamb being born sounds like. I'll do any old crap.
She actually...
I'll drop a towel.
She's oddly named Lizzie Calf, oddly enough. And she used to do sound effects for the Archers, amongst other things. She's now our sound wizard. But there is a name to this science of sound effects as used in movies. What sound recordists need is clean dialogue. And all the sound effects, footsteps and other noises, guns being cocked, the rustle of clothing, the lighting of a cigarette, almost all of that is done afterwards by someone called a Foley artist. And here's an example of some of the early Foley artists making their noises. And all kinds of different things are used. If you close your eyes, let the audience see how it's being made. You see if... Alan, when I say close your eyes...
Now, by the way, when I open them, you won't all have gone, will you?
Lamb on my head.
Yeah. You close your eyes, we'll let the audience and everyone at home see some more sounds being made. See if you can see what these are. So, what was that?
Guillotine. That's
Someone
basically
has
guillotine.
it.
Guillotine, all right. Very good. How was it made?
With a guillotine and a person.
They wanted the sound of cabbages being chopped up, and so they had to kill a guy.
Oh, very good. It was
My
indeed.
eyes shut long after the sound.
I'm still singing with my
I'm so obedient.
It was indeed a cabbage. You slide a knife along a scaffolding pole and then chop a cabbage and drop it into the bucket. It's pretty good.
Saves
Got
the
another
life
one.
of
Close
an
your eyes.
aristocrat.
Okay.
And what was that?
Someone pretending
So
to be a
horse
horse.
clapping.
I mean, that sounds exactly like some coconut shell.
Coconut
That's a
shell.
two-legged horse.
Yeah.
Wearing some awkward shoes.
There you are, here they are. That's it.
No,
You've all done.
it's a horse clapping.
Don't you think it sounds like a horse?
It does sound like a horse.
You've seen it many times in films without knowing that it was coconuts. If you see the visual thing, then it works. Another one.
At the
all right.
same time.
Close your eyes, yeah. What do you think this sound is?
It's fire. It's a fire, isn't
Yes,
it?
fire, exactly. They use this for fire, ripping through straw and things like that.
On all good, that one.
Now, here's a good one. This is weird, this, because you see it and you think, no, bollocks. It's a piece of paper coming out of an envelope, right?
And we're taking off a shirt.
No. This is what they genuinely used at Elstree for the doors in Star Wars, electric doors. Paper being taken out of an envelope. Simple as that. You watch a bit of Star Wars now and you see the doors open, you think, oh, yes, so it is. So anyway, we thank Lizzie Carr, our sound expert, and we apologise to her if she's in tears now, having been mocked by David Mitchell.
No, I'm not. Look, I'm perfectly willing to accept that with the pictures there, then you're going to buy the whole effect.
Yeah.
But, you know...
Now, a common theme of science fiction B-movies set in the future is robot invasions. But has Britain ever actually been invaded by robots?
Yes.
Well, I'm guessing they have.
Yes, they have. And
Yes.
when?
40s. 1880.
40s is the right answer.
40s.
1940s. Yeah, I'm afraid the point there goes to young Alan. But what were these robots?
Germans. The Germans.
Was it the Germans?
The Germans.
Had to be.
It was the
Doodlebug.
The Doodlebug and the buzz bombs, the V1
robots.
and V2. And the point is not just that we're saying they are kind of robots. They were called robots. They were called robots more than they were called doodlebugs in the 40s. Inasmuch as they were publicly called anything, because they were more or less banned to be discussed. The British authorities were terrified of letting the Germans know how successful or otherwise the V1 and
Tell you
V2
what, when the
bombs
V2
were.
landed on Chingford Plain, it was quite widely discussed.
Oh, it would be. But the point is not in the newspapers.
Of course, you ask, has Britain been invaded by robots? If you wanted to answer that question in a satirical manner that took a swipe at modern life in Britain...
Go on.
You'd say, we're in the process of it now, and those robots are the bloody call centres that we have to put up with.
Oh.
So my answer is yes, and it's happening now.
You should be a stand-up
Or,
comedian.
Rob, on an equally satirical note, the bloody cameras that take photographs of us everywhere we go.
Yeah.
And more cameras now in this
send
country
us electronically
pictures of our
summonses
cars.
and fines.
More cameras than any other time and any other country in Europe, and yet we can't catch anybody who kills somebody. Why is nobody ever murdered in front of a camera?
A couple of mad old men moaning about the state of Britain.
I agree with you.
I like you. I like you. I like you. I like you.
I listen to you. It's like listening to me.
Yeah. I like your attitude.
Yeah.
They're going to fuse into one horrifying Rob Miller.
This is like a sort of Siamese twin. We're quite keen to have the operation, but obviously we're not sure how we get on without each other.
All right.
I can see the attraction.
Now I know why my wife married me.
Yeah.
That was good.
God damn!
Just horrible. Have you heard this before?
In the green room about half an hour.
Tom and Jerry.
You might have heard it in Tom and Jerry, actually. You might well.
It's a sound effect scream that has been
library stocked and is used repeatedly.
Johnny, I'm going to have to give you points. This is right. It's been used in, it's estimated, about 140 movies, including every Indiana Jones movie, every Star Wars movie. It's been used in...
Likely Lads.
Madagascar, Planet of the Apes, Lord of the Rings, only two of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, not all three, oddly enough. Toy Story.
How disappointed they were.
I don't know.
We're going to have to go elsewhere for the third.
Reservoir Dogs. It's in Batman Returns, Poltergeist.
Just use it for a joke, then. Have we got to use that scream?
You're kind of right. It was used as a stock scream, and a guy called Ben Burt, who was a young, up-and-coming sound effects editor, heard it in lots of films, and he is now a very successful sound editor, and he and his friends make it a point, whenever they sound edit a film, to put this scream in somewhere. Hence, it is in all kinds of movies. On YouTube, someone has compiled 23 different films with the scream, showing the scream in it. We can't show it because we'd have to pay all kinds of money, but I wish we could. Anyway, it's believed to be a man called Sheb Wooley singing, and it starts on the note of C. There's Sheb Wooley. It descends through 4 semitones to G sharp, and he used it in a film called Distant Drums in 1951. It's called the Wilhelm Scream for some reason, and you can hear it again, C, semitones, G sharp.
It's quite a warm scream, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. It's not. You're not really traumatised.
Yeah. No. It's not as if you've been raped by a warthog or anything. The most ubiquitous line of film dialogue. Do you know what that was? Apparently, this line, a survey of 150 American feature films from 38 to 74, showed it was used at least once in 84% of Hollywood productions, more than once in 17%.
Is it? Why are you telling me this?
That's a very good one, because that is one of the really annoying cliches, isn't it? Like, the other one that really annoys me is, don't you die on me.
Oh.
Which almost never means actually on the person.
Yeah. I've got a bad feeling about this. Oh, shut up.
Is that an order, sir?
Yeah.
Well, since you asked me, Lieutenant, yes, it is.
Oh, the one that I always really want to punch is when they're about to go on an operation and they go, showtime.
Oh, yeah. No.
Oh,
This is what we trained for.
Gentlemen, we have a situation here.
Yeah.
Or the other one that really drives me mad is, I'm getting too old for this shit. Oh. Christ. Anyway, apparently the line is, let's get out of here.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Anyway, what you heard was the Wilhelm Scream, the most ubiquitous sound effect. What did they call the man who won the Battle of Hastings? Harold.
Ah, no, they called him.
And he lost, didn't he?
Yes. Yeah. What did they call the man who won?
William the Conqueror.
William the Conqueror.
No. We call him William the Conqueror. What did they call him in the day?
I think.
William le Conqueror.
But the fact is, no, the word William didn't exist at all as a name at the time of the conquest. He was known as Guillaume Bâtard. William the Bastard, in fact, was how he was universally known by the other French. It wasn't as rude to call him that.
The bloke on the left appears to be riding a llama. I mean, that's definitely a horse on the right. I mean, he's got a parrot. He's a random pirate, has arrived in the middle. Well, I arrived on a busy day here in Hastings. Who's that doing the embroidery over yonder? Get my good side.
As you might see in the top left corner, the word William is kind of developing. It's become Wilhelm. Wilhelm.
No, it's Will 6 Elm.
Wilhelm.
Normano, I like that.
Normano.
Yeah.
Is it Normano? Or... Is that like medieval text speak? They never put the whole thing in. They just thought, you know, we've invaded Britain. Lol.
OMG. Very good. So, they have indeed. That's basically the point. But all the Norman names, all the Saxon names disappear within 50 years of the invasion. All the Earwigs and Ethelreds and all those sort of names disappeared, and it became Hugo and Robert and Richard and William became the most popular names. William, one in every 7 men. How would you describe the famous Thatcher Effect?
Yes, you get the country to bend over and you give it one until its eyes water.
It was great, actually, when she became Lady Thatcher, because then she sounded like a device for removing pubic hair, didn't she? And you couldn't take her seriously after that, could you?
It's true. Absolutely. The Brazilian Lady
straggly
Thatcher.
pubic hairs with the Lady Thatcher, you know.
We need a Margaret Thatcher.
It wouldn't be...
Here is the Thatcher effect. Do you now know what it is?
Oh, I know that if she's right way up, she's too frightening, so we have to put her that way.
Well... The eyes look the same upside down as they do the right way up. No, they only look sympathetic.
It's an interesting point. Now, what it is, it's our ability to read faces. Some people in the audience, some people at home may have noticed that on one of those pictures, 2 of the major features of the face are actually inverted in her upside-down picture. So if we were to turn them around now, you'll see what you were looking at was that.
Burn the witch!
This was Peter Thompson at the University of York. He discovered that when it's the right side up, we'd instantly see which items are upside down, but when it's then turned upside down itself...
I'm racking my brain trying to think of any kind of application, short of you're in the middle of a soissons neuf and you turn and go, well, how is that? Oh, God, you're hideous. Jesus. You looked fine when we started, but this is ridiculous.
Application's hard to say, but as you know, these things sometimes emerge, and there, here, for example, is Alan. Turn it upside down, please, now.
Aye.
You never would have guessed, would you? That's astounding, isn't it?
That's a face you don't want to see after a 69, isn't it?
It's a real worry. Facial recognition is indeed a natural human instinct. We see faces everywhere in cloud formations and so on. Here are some little examples. Perhaps you can tell me what you think the faces are.
They're always, by the way, Jesus or Mary.
Well,
these
that's
things,
right.
Yeah. The middle one is a Virgin Mary and a piece of toast.
Actually, most people see Marlene Dietrich in the middle one.
Yeah.
If you look closely, I think it does look like Marlene. On the left...
The moon.
It's actually Mars. And people see, yes, the Madonna or something in there. And on the right... Jesus.
You can only say Jesus like that when you say the baby before.
I know.
The
It's usually
baby
equal baby
Jesus.
Jesus.
Baby Jeebus.
Baby Jeebus.
But the Thatcher effect makes it difficult for one to detect inverted features in an upside-down face. As we're in the Christmas spirit, let's have a little sing-song. What's everybody's favourite bit in that traditional song, the 12 Days of Christmas? Which is your favourite bit?
Lord's Leaping.
For me, it's the gold rings.
Yeah.
Who knows that?
Yeah.
5 gold rings.
Wouldn't that be wrong if you were asked what his favourite...
He's leading the witness.
I asked what his... I asked what his favourite bit was in the traditional English song, and it's not traditional, it's a recent addition. There's a man called Austin who wrote that arrangement in which it went 5 gold rings, and that bit alone is copyright and belongs to Novello, and you pay for.
All right, so we've just blown the BBC's budget.
The whole BBC. It's a bit like Happy Birthday to You. You can't sing or whatever in films, or at least if you do, you have to pay enormous royalties because the lyrics are still not in public domain.
I was told at school that it was code. It was supposed to be an aide-memoire to something. I don't know what.
Well, there are these games you can play that are like, in my trunk I'm going to pack, and the first person says a pair of swimming trunks, and the second one has a pair of swimming trunks and a book. So it's that thing, it's a memory thing. There's a version I play called Christopher Biggins Has Up His Bottom Tonight, and you have to remember the person. You go, Christopher Biggins has up his bottom tonight, and you go, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the next person says, Christopher Biggins has up his bottom tonight, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it has to begin with the last letter of Schwarzenegger. And...
Rodney Bewes.
Rodney Bewes, exactly. Christopher Biggins has up his bottom tonight, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Rodney Bewes, and then the next person will go, Christopher Biggins has his bottom tonight.
Steve Davis, the snooker player.
Brilliant! And you go on until you can't remember, and you get a huge
Simon
list.
Sharma.
You usually find that Christopher...
Anthony Andrews.
Christopher is astoundingly accommodating. That's the great thing about the game. And it goes on. It's a fun party game. I can't recommend it.
Is this why he was made King of the Jungle? This particular skill?
Well, the fact is, the song 12 Days of Christmas is a traditional, non-copyright song, with the exception of 5 gold rings, which was added by Frederick Austin and is owned by Novello and Company Limited. Describe the scandal of Mrs. Pankhurst and the rhubarb jam.
Pankhurst, she was a now suffragettes and jam.
We don't say suffragettes anymore, we say favours the flatter shoe.
Did she make her own jam? Pankhurst's own rhubarb jam?
Well, no, but actually in the 19th century and the early part of the 20th century, there was an enormous industry involved around making fake jams, would you believe?
Fake jams?
Fake jam. There was a particular kind of jam that was very popular but rather expensive for ordinary people, and so fake versions of it were produced, and it was a particular fruit jam.
Strawberry. Raspberry.
Raspberry is the answer. Raspberry was very popular, very, very popular, but rather expensive. So instead people used rhubarb was your best shot. The worst shot was sweetened turnips. And, as Marcus said under his breath there, I caught it, yes, they did put wooden pips in, not real pips, but fake pips.
Lovely wood.
In order to make it look more like... And, this is why it gets so weird, so prevalent was this habit of making false raspberry jam out of sweetened turnips and rhubarb and adding the wood bits, that there was a trade of making little wooden pips. And it was sweated labour that Mrs. Sylvia Pankhurst, one of the leading women's movement people who, you know, fought for votes for women and rights for women and so on, that she made an enormous fuss about this and indeed opened her own jam factory during the First World War, selling real jam instead of this.
It does sound like a euphemism for something else. Yeah, she's opened her jam factory.
You're a very disgusting young man.
I just think it sounds...
quite wrongly.
I like the idea that you could have a job as a pip maker.
Yeah, I know, that's exactly what a pip maker.
5 years apprenticeship. Making pips. Start having the great big pips like that, where it's smaller and smaller.
And being very badly paid at it. Anyway,
presumably they got away with it if it lasted that long, so it must have been raspberry-ish.
I guess. It was sugary, it was sweet and it was red. What do they call jam in America?
Jello.
Jam.
Jello.
No, they don't.
Jelly.
Jelly.
I want some jam.
Jelly.
Put some jam on my pancakes.
Jelly. They call it jelly.
I'm still saying jam.
Yes, you are. You're still saying jam in your way.
I think it's funny when I say jam.
They mix it with peanut butter as well.
Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Got an interesting fact about peanut butter.
Tell me.
You know, when they make those commercials using chimps...
Like for tea and things,
For tea and stuff. So what they do is they get a little bit of peanut butter and they put it on the top
of
the
yes,
roof of their mouth for the monkeys, and a little bit... They go... And that is also how they make Hollyoaks.
Very good. Very good indeed.
So it's done.
So, there we have it. The pips in fake raspberry jam, often made from rhubarb, with little bits of wood processed by sweatshop female labour. What's the worst thing you can do if you're a fire eater?
Well, there are vegetarian restaurants, aren't there, where you can't get meat.
Yeah.
So if you're a fire
vegetarian restaurants, I think.
Yes.
Qualify.
Nothing wrong with that sentence so far.
There are vegetarian restaurants where you can't get meat. To quote the great John Cleese, thank you for... What's your specialist subject? The bleeding obvious.
You've heard about these, apparently, these vegetarian restaurants...
I was establishing what I thought was an uncontroversial point, that in vegetarian restaurants you can't eat meat because they don't serve it.
No, they don't. I believe that's
right. So, there may be restaurants that don't serve fire. So, if you're a fire eater, there'd be no point in going to these restaurants and ordering fire. This is a simple point I was trying to make, but I was interrupted rather on the way.
I'll have a nice plate of fire, please.
Yes.
And that wouldn't
I would have
work.
thought at a Christmas event, if a fire eater was thinking, I haven't shown my family this skill, and there was a urine-soaked granny who'd been brought out of the home just for a day for Christmas, that would probably not be the time to say, so what are you up to now? Bruno.
Well, basically, I mean, I don't know if you know much about fire eating. There isn't really much to know. What you see is what they do. It really is as bad as it looks. I mean, they mostly have mouths filled with blisters and ulcers. It's a very unpleasant thing to do.
Do you eat the fire?
They hurt themselves. Basically, what you shouldn't do is breathe in. They have this condition, fire eater's lung, which is obviously, as you can imagine, an absolutely horrific condition. And
it's like farmer's lung, and there's no subsidy.
Exactly.
Because basically it's fire spitting. Rather than fire eating.
And that's, no matter how careful they are, they ingest the lighter fluid, which is toxic.
Or if you had plastic false teeth or wooden false teeth, which I think we've discussed in this programme.
Yes,
that would be a disaster because they would catch fire.
They would catch fire. That would be awful. Yeah, and the
smoking.
smoke would then...
Smoke.
Yeah.
Which would smoke. Apparently would kill you.
It wouldn't be the fire, you see.
No. Well, anyway, perhaps the most important piece of advice to the fire eater is do not inhale. When, oh when, will they finish painting the 4th rail bridge? Yes.
Never, because by the time they get to... See my little face light up as I thought I did.
Yes, it's been done. They don't need to worry about it anymore.
They're putting on a new special coating that's a combination of paint and epoxy resin.
Is the right answer! Right. Very good. Absolutely right. You never cease to amaze me, Alan Davies, but you're absolutely right. It used to be considered the proverbial unending task, but they have a new epoxy resin paint. It's been developed. It will last 25, possibly even 40 years. 40 years.
You've just come back from that big industrial paints conference, haven't you? You were just out there, just seeing what was going on.
Followed
You
a lot of it on the
world.
web as well. So.
Thanks to a clever new paint, they'll actually finish painting the 4th rail bridge in the year 2000. James Bond's job.
He was a secret agent.
Is
that what you want?
Yeah. No, in the British Secret Service, an agent is an informant to what Bond was, which was an intelligence officer.
You know how he got the job, Sean Connery? He went for the audition and then he walked away and the producers watched him out of the window.
And Fleming. Fleming was present.
And Ian Fleming, I was about to say that. Ian Fleming was present. And he walked away and they said he walked like a panther.
Yep.
Which, when you think about it, would be on all fours.
Yeah.
And would make him look like a ruddy lunatic. Not the sort of man you want botching up the schedule on an expensive film. Oh, look at him, he's doing it again. Sean, please, get up.
There are no chestnuts down there, Sean, baby. But, no, he does have a fabulously lithe walk, didn't he?
What's the difference between your walk and your gait? Is it the same thing?
Not exactly, is it? The gait is the sort of... Picture the angle, it's the signature of your walk. You can recognise someone by their gait.
Can your gait be when you're stood
They can be still.
I recognise Herb, I heard gait.
Yeah.
You know who's got the funniest walk, I think, is Liam Gallagher.
Oh, yes.
He's got that walk that you do, you know, when you're 17, you're out with your mates and you do that down the way you maybe you don't, but I really do sort of slightly. But he still does it, and he's, what, about 47 now, isn't he?
You know, well, Mick Jagger still does his...
Strut, his
whatever
kind of
you want to call
cockerel
it.
strut.
I imagine that he grew up in a house with a very narrow doorway.
Well, it's not... Noel Gallagher's house was all French windows.
Yeah. They had it all knocked through. But Mick had a lot of those funny little half-opening doors.
Excellent. Well, well, that's it. You see, the security services...
Still enjoying it.
It's only one more. No, it's good. He is virtually arseless, isn't he, Mick Jagger? He has no bottom. It's really odd.
Someone else who's arseless is Ian McShane.
Is he arseless?
Told on quite good authority by a costume person. It came up in conversation. Someone was saying, "Oh, Deadwood's very good. Have you seen Deadwood?" And someone just went, "No bum."
Well, he must have. Mechanically, he must have something.
He folds himself. He's got an anus. I'm sure he's got an anus.
They have to...
all right, yeah.
No buttocks. It's fascinating.
That's the point.
Flat.
It's a nightmare for a dresser, because they keep falling... They have to staple his trousers.
He has to have a little dress to go behind him with all the scenes, just holding them up.
You put a little pelmet across there and just hang them from then.
You could. Arse helmet. The security services actually call their staff officers, agents or informants who are not members of staff. Can you name the family in Swiss Family Robinsons? Yeah.
Robinson.
No, indeed. No, there is no family called Robinson in Swiss Family Robinson, no. Oh. In Swiss Family Robinson is a book by a man called Weiss, a Swissman.
Is it a reference to Robinson Crusoe?
To reference to Robinson Crusoe. They're a Swiss Robinson. Yeah, that's what it is. They don't actually have a surname. They're called Ma and Pa and Ernst and Franz and names like that. But the weird thing is there have been films in which they're called the Robinsons. It's just a misapprehension.
Are they even Swiss?
Well, they are Swiss. They are Swiss. When it was translated by William Godwin, he called it the Family Robinson Crusoe. because that's the idea. It was a Robinson Crusoe family, as it were. A family undergoing a Robinson Crusoe experience. It's a good title. And that got mysteriously changed in 1818, 4 years later, to The Swiss Family Robinson. A third of all the film and TV adaptations have them as being called Robinson.
I think they need a better title altogether.
Yeah.
Basically, it's just like a sort of shortening of the pitch.
It is,
isn't it? Swiss family like Robinson Crusoe. It's a Swiss family meets Robinson Crusoe.
Exactly.
The two most entertaining things we can think of, Robinson Crusoe and a Swiss family. This is dynamite. As long as we can come up with a good title.
Now to a question of fragrance. Why did the East German secret police steal people's underwear?
Beside the seaside. So that they could say to them, "You may now go. You are no longer under a vest."
Oh, I say, that's very good.
It's not bad, is it?
It's very impressive.
It's a sort of play on words.
It almost is.
You get an accent in there. There's something for everyone, really.
Excellent.
Did they want to see how frightened people were of them?
That would certainly reveal that. What do you remember what they were called?
Stasi.
The Stasi, yep.
Was it to see if people were in contact with the West?
Well, it was a way of trying to keep track on their dissidents, almost literally, really. What they wanted was a sort of database of the smell of all their dissidents, so that their dogs would recognise them.
Oh, my God.
Really?
So everyone they thought was a danger, might escape, might need tracking down. They started off by swabbing them with yellow sort of rags and asked them to swab their underarms and their groins and put them in a jar.
Yeah.
And then they invented a chair, which sort of, there you see some of the collected ones there. And then they invented a sort of chair that would collect the sweaty bits. And
the only people in the Stasi, surely, that would want that job would be the major pervs, wouldn't they? I mean,
seriously.
When they go for the interview, so what do you think you could bring to the Stasi? I'd like very much to be the guy that goes out and swabs all the dissidents under their arms. I'm thinking I would enjoy this ever so much.
And they did it for years. I mean, it is most peculiar.
It does sound like a new perfume range, though, doesn't it? Dissidents from Calvin Klein.
It does! Dissidents. Oh, that's brilliant. And we know where a huge store of dissident smells lives. And in fact, the very day the wall came down, the jolly revellers burst into the east and broke into the Stasi headquarters. And they found these jars and jars and jars and boxes and boxes and boxes. And it became underwear afterwards, because, tiring of doing this, they actually would raid dissidents' houses and, amongst other things, would take away their underwear for their smell collection. But the odd thing is, there's something very German about this, because only last year, the unified German government started doing the same thing with suspects, with people they thought would be violent, anti-G8, anti-globalism protesters. They started collecting their smells. I mean, we locked them up for 42 days. They Thank you. What is the worst thing to eat for tooth decay?
Crystal meth.
There is some truth. Certainly, crystal meth addicts have appalling teeth.
Have you seen the ad for crystal meth?
No.
It doesn't make me want to do it.
Ad against it, surely.
Oh, is it? That explains
I think so.
No, that makes perfect sense, because I looked at it and went, who's buying that? It's horrible. The fact they sell it in vials.
Yeah.
The worst thing you could do would be to
eat.
Because I saw this on TV, is to put them in salsa and then run a current through it.
That must be bad, I grant you.
The guy broke out of jail in Mexico. It took him 6 years. He just kept wiping salsa on the bars.
Oh, my
And eventually, after 6 years, the acid broke down the steel.
Oh.
And then they went, it was that Mythbuster show.
Oh, wow.
And then they ran a current through it, and it just happened in days.
Gracious, how brilliant.
So you wouldn't want to do that.
If your teeth were like iron bars.
I would just say, don't run a current through your teeth.
No, that's a good full stop. You're right.
I know, it's not going to be sugar, is it? You're trying to make us say sugar.
The point is, there's something worse than sugar. Sugar is quite bad, but the thing about it is it dissolves quite quickly in your saliva and is out and away from the teeth, whereas potato starch is just about the worst thing, because it hangs around in the teeth much more than sugar. Crisps are a particularly bad thing. There are bits of them stay up, and you may think, oh, well, at least it's not sugar. It's not like having an opal fruit stuck in there, but actually, it's really bad. Do you know having gum disease doubles your chance of coronary artery disease? That's a bit scary, isn't it?
Does it double your chances, or is it just there's a correlation between the two?
No, there is a direct causal link. Bacteria from the mouth find their way to the heart. A lot of disease in the heart actually is disease. It is infection not just bad lifestyle and being lazy. It is actually... you can get a virus, the heart can kill people very commonly, or bacteria.
So flossing is good for your heart?
Yes, that's a good thought, isn't it? How about
Well,
that?
they don't try and floss your heart.
I saw in America anal floss.
Here we go again.
It's a way of... It's not a gay thing, Rich. It's an American thing. It's a way of drying your intimate cracky
God
parts.
bless America.
Yeah.
Drive-through hamburgers and anal floss.
Isn't that just a towel?
Yeah, a towel, but it's a special one.
You were
that's...
doing the wrong way then.
Sorry, what's that?
It's a special... It's a special towel with a gusset.
Yeah, basically. Exactly. Sorry, pulling his sleeves up worried me. I thought you were going to... While we're all at sea, what's the difference between flotsam and jetsam?
One floats and one sinks.
No.
One is spelt with a J, one's spelt with a
There are 4 kinds of wreckage.
Flotsam is something that's fallen off a ship because it's got wrecked or something, and Jetson has actually been thrown off by someone.
Yes, correct. Jetsam has been jettisoned. Very good. Very good.
How do we know that? Did you really work that out?
Yeah.
Well, it's,
From jeter, the French to throw.
Some of us paid attention at school, Alan.
Not that one again. That seems to be the root of all my problems. Just wasn't interested.
I can also tell you that lagan is what's on the bottom of the sea.
You're absolutely right. And there's only
But you
one
said there's
more...
a fourth one.
There is a 4th one. Lagan is cargo that is lying at the bottom of the ocean, sometimes marked by a buoy, which can be reclaimed. But there's another one which lies at the bottom of the ocean which no one has any hope of reclaiming.
Rocks.
That's derelict.
Derelict.
So they're the 4 classes of wreckage according to the 1995 Act, which covers these things. But the odd thing is, if you find such a piece of wreckage from a ship and you decide to keep it, you could be fined £2,500. You have to pay twice the value of it to the owner of the original ship.
You have to have salvage right.
Yeah, it's very, very strict.
But does that date back to the days when all the West Country and its keep off,
They call them
luring
Cornish
people onto
wreckers.
rocks?
Yes.
That's like if you run over a pheasant
Yeah.
and pick it up,
Yeah.
then that's a crime. But if you following someone and they've run over the pheasant and you just find it... I found this out because we did some filming once for Jonathan Creek and we were filming on a big estate and there were pheasants everywhere and all the crew had to drive into this house every morning and the pheasants, stupidly, the way they fed the pheasants was from a truck.
Oh, no.
So any time a vehicle came past, pheasants would come and run towards the road. And on about the 4th morning, Billy, the best boy, had just had enough of slowing down for every pheasant and did about 6 of them. And then the people behind picked them up.
Why do you think it is, then, when you're in Australia, you see so many dead kangaroos at the side of the road, when in the outback there is lots of other space? Why would they be at the roadside?
Because water gathers on the road surface and they come to drink there.
That's interesting. It's certainly not... No, that's good.
I've seen it.
Did you want that not to be an answer?
No, I knew the answer, and I was hoping you were going to say, I don't know, and I was going to say the answer. Thanks for that.
Tell me all what your buzzer noises are. Jimmy first. What's that noise?
A camera, like a light.
Oh!
No, actually,
it's
Yeah?
That's a phone.
Is it not? Is it not? It's a bird that can mimic sounds, and it learned how to do the camera shutter.
So what sort of bird would that be?
A Kodak bird.
It's not that. It's from Australia?
Oh, the kookaburra.
No.
Sheila.
No. The audience knows. Say again loudly. Lyre! They're all shouting liar at you.
You've robbed my point.
You get 1, the audience gets 5. Jimmy's buzzer was indeed, in fact, a specific breed of lyrebird called the superb lyrebird.
It can mimic anything.
Almost anything.
I'd make it woof. How brilliant would that be if you had a bird that woofed?
It's...
I'd get it to do limericks.
It does dogs.
I'll probably get it to do Bill Oddie.
Surely that should be a bearded tit, if it was any better.
You're thinking of Rory McGrath.
You're Yours was a superb lyre. Marcus, let's hear yours.
It could easily be a builder, couldn't it? Seeing a lady go past. But it sounds like a car alarm. Yeah.
Trenches are joining in.
I just wanted to see that happen.
That wasn't...
Yeah.
Lyrebird.
Yes! He's right! Oh. And here it is, making that noise. It's Lyre, incidentally, L-Y-R-E, not...
I knew that.
Not...
I've got a point if I'd said that.
No. Because its tail is said to resemble the shape of a Greek lyre, the plucking instrument, a lyre. And let's hear your buzzer, Sean, if we may.
It's a lyrebird. Well, I don't know what it's mimicking.
It's doing a saw,
It's doing logging. It's mimicking logging.
It is indeed doing a chainsaw.
Is it a lyrebird?
It's a lyrebird. You seem to have got the hang of this. It's very annoying.
Really.
So, Alan...
The thing about...
That's a lyrebird.
No! Oh, dear. No,
Even as I said it, I knew it wasn't. Even as it was coming out of my story of my bloody
That was
life.
a telephone.
Yeah?
Couldn't you tell?
No, I thought...
Ironically, Alan, the big siren that went off there was a lyrebird.
What kind of animal can you eat without killing it? Rich.
Crabs, unintentionally. In the south.
Yeah?
In the deep south, in the bayou. On the bayou. On the bayou. Yeah, yeah. Freshwater mussels, they just pick them right out of the water, and they'll have these tiny pink crabs crawling on them, and they're considered a delicacy. And they're alive. They're alive when you swallow them.
These are things you can eat fully, an animal food stuff, but you don't kill the animal.
So something that sort of comes through like sweet corn, except it's still running around.
Oh!
Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying it passes through the entire
unharmed.
digestive system.
Right,
no.
oh, right.
No,
But it stays in you and sets up a community.
Whatever they put in Yakult.
Well, they whitter on about that, don't
yes,
they?
bifidus digestivum.
How?
Or L. Casei
How
immunitas.
stupid do they think we are?
David, you know these things. I'm so
Well, that's I
impressed.
spend a lot of time watching television, and listening to the new made-up science is very entertaining.
I love the made-up science where they go to, do you want to buy a tiny pot of off milk? Yes!
And they say it's always such a good deal. Just try it for 9 weeks, and then if you don't feel better, then give up. Because actually, if everyone tries it for 9 weeks, we're in the money.
No, because, I mean, actually, in a sense, you're probably right about bacteria, which would possibly pass through us and all the way and not be killed. But this is actually a delicacy. I'm inclined to give the point to Rich, because he's sort of accidentally right, only he's sort of wrong as well.
It's not a story of my life.
It's one of the most popular foods, almost the national dish in some ways, of Florida.
Tapeworm.
Not tapeworm. No, it's a type of crab. It's a stone crab.
Oh, right.
Stone crab claws are very popular. There is a stone crab, and the fishermen catch the crab, they snap off the claws and throw the crab back in, and it takes about a year for its claws to grow back. But it is considered a great delicacy, usually served with a sort of butter and mustard sauce, very popular indeed in restaurants up and down America, but particularly, as I say, in Florida.
What does it do for a year, then, armless down, wandering about?
I mean,
it's up to himself. The crab is dismayed when it loses its claws, thinking, now I can't get any work done. All that stuff, I'm trying to rearrange the seabed. It'll be a year before I can do any of that. I'm just going to have to lay up. It's almost like they're sort of fruit-bearing animals, aren't they?
That's pretty similar to that, exactly.
Yeah.
Like an apple tree has its apples taken off, but the next year it grows more apples.
So maybe they're trees. They're just seafoody trees.
Yeah,
they can walk around.
Same DNA.
You could have given me as an answer as well. There are certain tribesmen in the Masai Mara in northern Tanzania and Kenya who will drink the blood of cattle. You know, not kill them, but sort of slit the throat a bit and drink the blood, mix it with milk, actually. And then they bind up the wound again, and so they don't kill the cow. But that practice is dying out a bit.
They mix it with milk, so they think that cattle have 2 drinks. You can have one or the other, or a mixture of the 2. Fantastic, these 2-drink animals.
Anyway, stone crabs it is. They're returned to the sea alive, and their claws have been taken off. Over the next year, they grow a replacement, although it's never quite as good as the first one. Which of these ladies is more likely to bite off a baby's head? David.
I think it's Anne Widdecombe because she's a Catholic.
Terry, defend your
I'm not
faith.
actually saying that Catholics are more likely to bite off babies' heads, but I imagine that might have been the sort of thing that was once said.
I think that originally, of course, Margaret Thatcher was known as the milk snatcher, taking the pinter out of the innocent babies' mouths. But I don't think it was her. I agree, I think it was Anne Widdecombe. But I think she's misquoted. Because one time somebody said to her, are you hungry? And she's a good little trencher woman. And she said, hungry, she said, I'd eat a baby's arse through a wickerwork chair. And it grew up. That is from arse to head, you know. But, so that's an easy enough mistake.
It's so easily done.
What's the wickerwork chair? That's an odd sort of... Not only would I eat a baby's arse, I'd do it under awkward circumstances. with chopsticks through a wickerwork chair. It shows... With one hand tied behind my back.
It shows how little you know of roughage, lad.
He's a stranger to the lavatory, I fear. No, the reason that we have these two women...
I think I know.
Yes, tell.
I think it's something to do with jelly babies.
Oh, my dear, you're so completely right.
Because women who have had children will basically take a jelly baby and will check it for nappy rash and cradle cap and attempt to get it into a good school before eating it. And then women who haven't had children will obviously can enjoy the benefits of jelly babies, knowing that they can give them back at the end of the day when they've had enough.
Ronnie, it is about jelly babies, but the odd thing about the research is that it's mothers who've had children who bite off the heads and women who don't. So lots of points for knowing it was about jelly babies.
It's an extraordinary mentality, isn't it, that you actually inquire into which part of the jelly baby you bite off first.
No, it does seem
Well, a lot of universities are short of funding. So they have to investigate stupid things.
Come on, boys.
Of course.
And
I'll have a black one if I may.
There you are. This morning I get a whole bowl to myself. 3 million of these are eaten every week, you know. No.
What's the powdery substance?
Cocaine and DNA. Enjoy it. The powder, of course, is starch, so you get the jelly out of the mould. That's what the powder is for. Can you guess what these flags mean and what the letters stand for?
A, B, C, D, E.
That's O, actually, and it means overboard.
Oh, right.
It's not just to generally express interest in something another ship has said. You know. They say something, they go...
Also, if someone's fallen overboard, is there really time to put a flag up and... There's a bit of a lack of urgency. No, never mind.
The flag box. Oh, God, I can never find the one I want. It's drowned by now. Overboard!
And the next one is... I think that's actually N, which means no.
So that after the one before is, oh, no. I've spilt something on these trousers. Oh, no.
We've got a third one.
That's a pyramid reflected in a lake.
Oh, no, it's a rather sweet one. It's F, actually, and it means I'm disabled. Communicate with me.
That's a rather patronising view of the disabled, though. That they have to have a flag to be communicated.
I was going to speak to him, but the little fella didn't have a flag, so I didn't bother.
They only wave the flag if they want you to talk to them.
Yes. Is there a flag we can use to say, does he take sugar?
Oh, heavens. Well, there you are. You've found a whole new use. I think it's magnificent. The science of flag communication. It's more or less fallen as it is used these days, obviously, but they used it most famously when? What's the kind of famous signal that was sent in
The Battle of Trafalgar.
1805, exactly. And what was that? Do you remember?
Well, it's commonly quoted as England expects every man shall do his duty, but
Yeah.
they reckon that was a slight mistranslation. It said something slightly different.
Well, actually, Nelson instructed his signal master to say, Nelson confides that every man shall do his duty. Confide meant in those days has faith in the fact that, as it were. And neither Nelson nor confide were flags. There was no flag for them. But there was one for England and there was one for expects. So it became England expects that every man shall do his duty, yeah.
Why couldn't they do Nelson? If there's a flag for N and a flag for E and a flag...
You could have done it letter by letter, obviously, you can do that.
They'd been shot by the French before they finished. But it's lucky they had flags for do their duty.
Yes.
You know, if they could only use the flags they had.
Yeah.
Say, sorry, Nelson, we've only got go home now.
It's, the, it's Nanny's flag for have a poo. Make sure you've done your duty. There we are. Anyway. Sorry. It's awful when you make a sort of observational comic remark, you realise you're the only person in a room of 1,000 people to whom that means anything.
No, all the audience were nodding.
They all say that to their dog too. Yeah, anyway, fair enough. How many muscles are there, incidentally, in your fingers? How many?
20 tiny fingers.
One if you play your cards right.
Look at you. Oh, this is dreadful, boy. I'm not going to pay any attention to you now.
I'll put the pencil in.
Oh, Lord bless you. Oh,
Richard Fry.
You're so dirty. None. None is the right answer, thank you. There are no muscles in your fingers. Only tendons. The muscles are in the hand and in the forearm that control your fingers. In fact, a way of showing, if you do a sort of spidery thing and then pull in your middle finger like that, do that. All right? Now lift your thumb, tap it up, tap it. Tap your little finger, tap your index finger. Now tap your ring finger. Can't move it at all. Like all the fingers, it has no muscle.
Oh,
all it is, but it has a shared tendon with the middle finger, so it can't even move at all.
That hurt there.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? There you have a picture of the musculature of the hand and arm, and you can see there are no muscles there in the fingers.
Take my onions off.
You can take your onions off.
And that's slightly restricting Montet.
Yeah. Then, of course you must. It's matet, it's feminine, -5.
I said mon because I'm masculine.
It doesn't quite work that way, I'm
Doesn't
afraid,
it?
no. For example, the word vagina is masculine, whichever sex you are, and you're likely to be female if you have one.
But you would say mon vagina.
You, as it were, yes. You would.
It makes it sound like a mountain somewhere, doesn't it? It's not. Is it?
Yes.
Oh, I must climb Mont Vagina.
Many have. Many have fallen off.
Bon, allons-y, mes copains. Alors, à ce moment-ci, je vous donne des bonus points si vous pouvez répondre en français. OK? Yeah.
Oui.
Very good. Already, bonus points to you. Phil.
Non.
Plus tard, nous verrons. Phil, comment ça va?
That was French.
That is fluent. Joe, voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir?
Pardon me. Not asked.
Excellent. 4 points. Anna, donne-moi un mot, s'il vous plaît. Un mot pour un mammifère marin qui ne peut avaler aucun plus grand qu'un pamplemousse.
Pamplemousse. What's a pamplemousse? Ask the audience.
I think
What's a pamplemousse?
it's French palm.
Grapefruit. Grapefruit. Do I?
See, Alan, for the last 6 years, you have yearned for the answer to a question to be, and it never has been.
The blue whale.
And that is the answer! Oh. I asked you, in my broken French, to name a marine mammal that couldn't swallow anything bigger than a grapefruit.
Right.
And that is a blue whale.
Yeah.
Oh, you could have had such pleasure and joy. What does my buttonhole tell you about me? Yay.
That you're a closet heterosexual.
How dare you?
It tells us that you are what you are. You are your own special creation.
It's not going to fire water at me.
It's not going to do that. It's a real flower, and it's a real member of a particular family of flowers, and it has a name.
It's a rhododendron?
It's not a rhododendron.
Camellia.
It is a camellia. Well done. It's exactly a camellia.
And you are La Dame aux Camellias.
Ah, tell me about La Dame aux Camellias.
It's a novel.
It's a novel.
Yeah.
And
It's about a lady.
Do you know what this meant?
Who liked camellias.
Do you know... Yeah. It's good.
Yeah, it's that...
But there is a thing about the red camellia that is very extraordinary, unbelievably shocking to mid-19th century France.
Periods.
You're so right. Marguerite Gautier, the heroine of the novel La Dame aux Camellias, wore for 25 days of the month a white camellia, for 5 days a red one, to tell her lovers that she was not available, that Arsenal were playing away or were playing exactly at home. The decorators were in the etc.
No, not following this. Are you saying that you are available, or
I'm
you're
saying
not
I've got a period on, John.
Oh, right.
You can't have me. I'm sorry. That's
Sorry, what was
basically-
this in? Was this in some play? What's
It's a
this
novel by Alexandre Dumas fils, the bastard son of the creator of The
she a
Three
little bit-
Musketeers.
Does a pink flower mean you've got quite a light flow?
It's an interesting direction in which to go that I hesitate to...
Can I just say, I thought it was so sweet, because no woman in her entire life has ever said, I've got a period on.
Flamingo stand on one leg. Yes.
I think I've got the answer. Because it wants to go to sleep.
Yes.
Is it?
You're right.
Ah,
That's absolutely
well.
right.
I was going to say landmines.
You're absolutely right. No, you're right, though. What happens is they have, like other animals, the ability for half of themselves to go to sleep at one time. So the half with the leg up is asleep. That whole half of their body is in a torpid state and the blood flow is less, and that leg couldn't sustain them while asleep. When that has had enough sleep, they then swap over and that leg comes down,
There
the
must
other
be a
one goes
terrible
up.
in-between moment when they just fall on their arse.
You wonder about that, don't you? Yes, the other theory...
How does that work, then? Does it go laterally kind of down the middle of their face and their neck, or does their arse go to sleep and then their face wakes up?
One assumes it's sort of down the middle with it.
So the phrase "my leg's gone to sleep," that's a whole new thing.
Precisely. Their leg literally has gone to sleep. And they are pink because?
It's wait a moment, not crayfish, prawns or something.
Oh, it's not prawns, no. No, it is a commonly held fallacy that they're pink because they eat pink food like prawns or shrimps, but actually...
Or Angel Delight.
Or Angel Delight. No, they eat a blue-green algae, which, oddly enough, is full of this carotenoid that makes them pink. And so in zoos, they give them supplements to make them pink, which...
I tell you, the flamingo version of Where is Molly's really difficult.
They are interesting creatures. They can drink boiling water because they...
How did they find that out?
Because
a very cruel man found that out. Here you go.
They live near geysers where the water is at that temperature.
They can
quite
eat
happily.
a McDonald's apple pie.
The only species that can.
The only species that can do that.
Yeah, which is the hottest substance known to man, isn't it?
Developed by NASA.
Yeah. Now, who gives a flying fish? There they are. Aren't they amazing?
They're lovely, aren't they?
Beautiful animals.
I was told that flying fish only ever fly alone.
That sounds like a code, Alan. Flying fish only fly alone.
I've seen them. They fly in shoals.
I was on a scuba diving trip and I met a German who was adamant.
Well, I mean, of
only
course they
fly
would.
alone.
They would fly on their own, wouldn't they? You mean if they don't fly in like a formation, like the Red Devils? Like,
They don't leap out and pass one another like that.
No, they don't do that. Do you know what French for a flying fish is?
Poisson d'aéroplane.
It's slightly more creepy for those of us of a certain generation. It's exocet.
Oh, gosh.
And what do you know of the exocet?
It's a missile.
It was a missile, yeah. It was used against us in the Falklands War. So do they fly or glide?
Neither.
I've seen them, and they fly for... Sorry, Johnny, I'm so excited, I must say this. They fly for ages. When I saw them, my first flying fish, I couldn't believe they were really fish, because they flew for so long, and they weave, and they sort of duck and dive like that. And I thought they cannot possibly be fish, because they flew for so long. They flew for minutes and minutes and minutes, and then suddenly they all go plonk, and they're gone. So you know they were really fish.
I don't know what you were eating or drinking on that occasion. I have it here on pretty solid authority that 30 seconds is a long time for them to stay in the air in one go, which is a long glide, 30 seconds. But it appears that they glide. But even if they move these pectoral fins that have become their wings, even slightly, then that would count as flying, but it seems they seem to be fixed. So.
I was going to tell Pam she probably witnessed a duck.
It wasn't a duck. Well, I heard what he said. It wasn't a duck. It was not a duck at all.
No.
Is that what he said?
He meant it.
Yeah, my sister breeds ducks, so I know the difference between a duck and a flying fish.
It just looks to me like you keep telling me to F off. You, duck, fish.
I didn't realise you'd noticed.
That kind of language, pal. I'm glad my ears are cut off.
Apparently, the people who most love them are the people of Tao, which is an island off Taiwan, where it's their staple diet.
Do they taste nice, then?
I guess
it's hard to catch, I'd have thought.
Exactly. Do you use a 12 bore or a net?
One in each hand. That's what I usually do.
No, you just make a little landing strip. Put some lights on it, you know, some tea candles.
And then wave them in.
And then just sit there with a stick waiting for them to go.
Talk it in.
Oh, they've all got grandeur ideas of being jumbo jets.
Outrageous item of clothing got the Duke of Wellington thrown out of a club.
Yes. I'm going to suggest he wore his Wellington boots in the club. So I knew that would be it. Because I just love it. I think it's so fantastic what a career he had, because not only was he a great general, winning one of the most important battles of all time, and a few others, plus he was Prime Minister, and he had Wellington boots named after him.
Pretty astounding, isn't it?
And they were...
Oh, my shirt, I think I know.
Yes, go on.
I know exactly what happened. Now, he showed up at this situation, and it was supposed to be all formal and nice, but he was a bit of a cook. And he came in and he said, look at this wonderful dish I made with beef. And it was inappropriate to be trying to introduce your cooking at a social occasion like that. And his wife tried to say, don't do it, just, you know, save it and invite some people back and we can eat, have a smoke, and then it'll all be good. But he was like, no, I know this is good food. And so he took it there and he was just, people was like, oh, we're just drinking here, and just, oh, he's general, he should know better. And just... This is what I believe happened. I might have read it somewhere, I can't remember.
You reminded us of another thing to chalk up to Wellington.
Yeah.
Not just the boots, and not just the battle, but the beef in pastry.
Around beef.
Yeah. Actually, this happens to be just about my favourite club. If you were to ask me if I could get in a time machine and go anywhere, this is one of the places I would go. It was called Almack's. It was the club that determined whether or not you were in society. And it was run by these fierce women, the lady patronesses. And it didn't matter who you were. If you didn't get a voucher from them, you couldn't enter Almack's.
So we're looking for an item of clothing that Wellington turned up in.
Yeah, because what must a properly attired gentleman in the evening, what should he wear?
A hat.
He'd have that, but what would he have down here?
Hot pants.
Close in as much as...
breeches.
Knee breeches.
Yeah.
Knee breeches. And Wellington wore...
long trousers.
Trousers!
Trousers.
He
A
wore
rah-rah
trousers.
Yeah.
He wore trousers. And so he was...
he said, I won the Peninsular War, for goodness sake. I can wear any trousers I like.
You'd think.
Or did they make him roll them up?
That's
to
my
make
catchphrase. I can come in any trousers I like. Sorry. That's... it's... Sorry. I do apologise.
Yeah, I sure enjoyed that long, winding story so we could get to that. That was...
The trouser was considered absolutely shocking and not to be worn in smart society.
the breaches of etiquette. Yeah.
Exactly. Richard, that's good. Good. You know, we like it.
I bet when they told him he couldn't come in, he looked at him and he went, "Pants to you."
The point is, the Duke of Wellington was thrown out of a club for wearing to the fireman's pole.
He tiled the fireman's bathroom.
Very good. Very good.
I mean, how much time does it save to go down a pole? I mean, they've got to drive half the mile across the town anyway to get there. So
that's
half
true.
a second off the... Just walk down the stairs.
Why don't they have a slide, like in the park?
Oh, that would be fun.
They could have a swirly slide or even a water slide.
It'd be a good way of getting young firemen in, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Getting them trained. It was probably a health and safety thing, I would imagine.
Oh, God.
Was it really?
No, you see...
Safety gone mad. That's the new political correctness gone mad.
Yeah, there was a series of stories in the newspapers that, like, essentially just to make things up in order to get us all angry in the morning. They claimed that, you know, firemen's poles were being taken out because health and safety... And it's just...
It's the whole reason.
Most new fire stations are built on one floor, so
Yes.
they don't arise.
Yeah.
But in all ones where they exist, they're there, and if they build one with 2 floors, they get their poles.
But surely that's the main reason you become a fireman,
is.
isn't it?
Yeah.
You go down the pole. It's not like I want to be a fireman so that I might die in a fire.
Yes.
It's I want to go down the pole and maybe one night I'll bring a special friend back and show her the pole and...
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
You demand an extra floor on the fire station. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. So
No, do you know where the longest pole is in Europe, fireman's pole? And how long would you think it might be? What's the maximum length?
48 feet, I would guess.
That's
64
no,
feet.
It's 40 foot, actually. There's a 40-footer in Birmingham, and it's the biggest in Europe.
That's the limit, is it?
There may be a bigger one in America,
terrifying.
I believe.
That's really quite high.
It is quite high, 40 foot, yeah.
When you're really going to take the skin off your hands by the time you get off.
So you picture that squeaky noise, and it makes your teeth go on edge.
Do they talc up like the weightlifters?
They should do, shouldn't they?
Do they teach a technique of coming down the pole? Is
Well,
it just hands? Because they
they're
all seem to be
gripping
doing...
I think the thighs
They
have
do a
to
knee
exert
grip.
pressure.
I must say, there are a hell of a lot of firefighters.
The driver of the fire engine is there going, no, I can't go yet, I've got to wait for it all here. Meanwhile, the whole family is burning to death.
Well, apparently it's because they sometimes literally are still pulling on their trousers and then running downstairs doing that, of course, is much more dangerous than going down a pole where you can just sort of hold them up and go down the pole and put them on. You really are, and obviously every second can save a
I
life.
understand why the firemen are always completely caught out by the fact that...
Yeah, so what? A fire?
Oh, my God! Quick! All undressed.
Were the poles always made of shiny metal, or were there early versions that splintered and...
Nasty.
Well, they must have experimented with
flammable
materials.
pole, that'd be absurd. They'd all be stuck up there with the pole on fire, no one to put it out.
It was insurance companies invented firemen.
You're absolutely right. I think you should get some points to that, Clive, because you're completely correct. Things like the Sun was one of the biggest, now the Royal Sun Alliance. That started as a fire insurance company. And what would happen was you'd pay the insurance to the company and they would send you a brass plaque which you would set into the wall of your house. So if there was a fire, what tended to happen was lots of different brigades came from different insurance companies and they read the plaque. And if you hadn't paid, they wouldn't put your fire out unless you happened to be next to someone else who had. Because, you know, if you got a fire, the chances are the fire would spread to them.
I think that's one of the worst things I can imagine is your house is on fire and they turn up and won't put it out.
I know. Can you imagine that?
That would make me annoyed.
Would they stay and kind of roast marshmallows, or would they just drive straight off?
They'd stand there with the hose going,
Or sort of saying...
Or they just stand there with water pouring out the other way.
Sort of saying, since we're here, if you paid for the next time, we might as well collect now.
Think again with your premium.
It's not the fire that kills people. I don't know if you're aware of this.
Fire doesn't kill people?
No.
No,
Well, what
okay.
it does, Clive, of
Bullets.
course, you're not going to tie me up in legalese here. I'm not going to get all heated up, which is what you want to happen. I'm not going to stay very calm.
Yes. It didn't say fire doesn't kill people. It said it's not the fire that kills people.
Your lordship, your lordship is
thing.
absolutely right.
Thank you.
But I was just exploring the notion that fire wasn't in some way not deadly.
It's not the fire that kills the people.
Generally
it's a byproduct of the fire. And I wonder if any of you know what that byproduct is.
Is it flame?
Is it the slinky?
It's not the
No,
Slinky Stephen,
that
but
was
it's
a
a good
wild
try.
guess.
Clive, you were right. Smoke. It's the smoke. And what happens is, smoke doesn't burn you, so I know what you're thinking. Well, how on earth could... No. What smoke does, and this is where it gets interesting, it chokes you. And if we choke, what can't we do? Breathe. We can't breathe. We can't breathe. We can't breathe. And if we can't breathe, what do, Dom?
We die.
We die. Yes.
What do newborn babies like best?
Well, as a mother of a newborn, I'd like to say crying.
Crying.
The thing is about babies crying is you just think, what have you got to cry about? You haven't got any financial problems, you've got no relationship problems, you're not haunted by mistakes that you've made in the past. Do you know what I mean? We should be crying on an hourly basis.
You don't have to get out of bed to go for a poo.
No, everything's provided for you. Lie back.
Yeah.
You don't have to poo, you a squid. You're adored. Make the most of it. What is your problem? Make the most of it, because you'll look back at this and it'll be the happiest days of your life.
Maybe they're stressed about all the stuff they've got ahead of them.
Yes.
Maybe they can pick up on the stress of all the adults, sort of going, oh my God, this is a nightmare. I mean, it's OK now, but this is going to get worse before it gets better. One day, if I'm not careful, they're going to say I'm not allowed to shit in my bed anymore. They'll dress it up as growing up or something, but in fact, it's the first stage of a long surrender.
Never stop soiling yourself.
Not if you've got
better.
If you've got an ounce of self-respect, keep soiling yourself.
Someone told me that 90% of the attention you garner in your life, you receive under the age of 3.
It's a thought, isn't it? Not for us who are on television, surely. Surely not us. No, that could be right. Now, that's an interesting point, because a lot of mothers have been led to believe that it's incredibly important at the moment they give birth that there's a bonding process. But the interesting thing is that babies don't bond with their mothers, particularly in the very first days, that actually they respond apparently as much to the cries of a rhesus monkey as to the noise of their mother.
Well, all that hard work.
Yeah, I know. Later...
Get a rhesus monkey.
Later they get used to you. They get used to you. They get used to your smell after a few weeks, and they do like you.
Now that child's clearly not going to bond with their parents.
They've had enough of that one, haven't they? Come on. Twist it, it'll snap.
As you crawl towards the age where you can again soil yourself with impunity, surely.
What do you mean crawl towards it?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
That's not comfy. I'm lucky I have the incontinence pads.
Yeah, I'm so pleased. Is there a tenor gentleman? Is it only tenor lady?
That's a thing. Why is it in those ads? What is it about laughter that makes women wet themselves? I mean, you have the ads, they're jollying about, and then...
It is odd.
I like it when babies soil. My nephew, when he soiled himself, he put his hands on the high chair like that.
They get great concentration on their face.
While mothers may form an immediate bond with their baby until they're 3 months old, babies respond equally well to the call of rhesus.